host of Soul Mechanics, and still director of the initiative so far. Amanda Lovely is our beautiful host for Outcast Revolution. She'll be taking it from here. Amanda Lee, if you know her, Mandy Lee, go right ahead.
Hello, Donovan, and hi, everyone else watching. I hope you're all having a good day, and sorry for the late upload, but we're still getting things together, and this is going to be part 2 of Donovan's interview.
1 second. Remember, you can go ahead and ask things, say things. I can hear you everywhere in the apartment, literally. It's like boom, boom.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Donovan, why don't you tell me about the creation of the initiative and what led up to your desire to create this?
Yeah, and that's where we were leaving off pretty much. I told you guys about my childhood and everything, and how we got to here, for the most part, how we got to where it started.
Right.
And Boog broke off while he and I were essentially training together in this area, and he broke off and went his way, and I went with Ariel. Now, she started training me in Kundalini. That was our initial practice, and she started helping me to do meditations and such, and learn training to unlock the chakras and to open up that energy in me. And meanwhile, Boob, I had instructed him to go and start building a library, essentially, and gathering up all the knowledge we could. And ultimately, we had the idea for what we called the Garden Program, which was just going to be like a big training ground to gather people and to teach everybody, because the actual prophecy of the Celestine Prophecy book was that this information would reach so many people, it would become a critical mass, and it would change the whole world. So we wanted to help that happen by giving people all the information we could in this regard. And so Boog went, he started gathering people and building a library. Meanwhile, I did this Kundalini training, but Ariel had warned me that she wanted me to take it the slow way and then to take the long route, the natural route, and unlock it naturally. And I did not listen to her because I'm an asshole, and I jumped ahead and I used alchemy and drugs and such and substances and whatever shortcuts I could to boost it, and I actually triggered it prematurely and unlocked it. And then I have stories for that on Soul Mechanics, so to cut the long story short, she booked, essentially, it was a dude from, the singer from Live, who said, something like, the greatest of teachers won't hesitate to leave you hanging there by yourself, chained to fate. And that's what I always think of when I think of her. She saw that I had done that, she knew what I was in for, and she couldn't help me, so she left, and she went on her pilgrimage, which I was speaking to the initiative being my pilgrimage. At the end of a spotting training, we have like a kind of a stepping stones in the training, as it were. We have the training with a mentor, a spotter.
Right.
The spotter will leave you to train by yourself, to have essentially, once you've learned to communicate with the living world, then the world will train you and you no longer need a mentor. It will guide you to other mentors, and you'll go, wherever synchronicity leads you. And then when you feel you're ready, after you've trained somebody else and passed on whatever you have to give, at least to one person, then you go on what we call a pilgrimage. And her pilgrimage, essentially, she started off going to New Mexico and looking for something. I have no idea what, but she went to New Mexico, never saw her again. I have no idea where she is. Nobody's heard from her since then. But she's out there somewhere. I got a lead on her about a year ago that hit a dead end. But anyways, for 10 years after that, at least about 12 years actually, it started with health complications and just from chakra to chakra. What I originally felt when I did this practice, the meditation, was I felt like an orgasm in my spine, like it lit up my spine like a lightsaber, and it came up into my head, and when it hit the brain, it unlocked a whole new world to me. It was like it's indescribable what it did, how crazy and transcendental a sort of experience it was. And many people will know about this, and I have other videos talking about it, so I don't want to get into it here, but then it came back down, and it started hitting everything. It began with this noise that I hear coming off of things everywhere. It started giving me panic attacks. Then I started having health complications where organs would fail, like my lung collapsed for no reason, my digestive tract got blocked up. There were cysts and just all kinds of, my pancreas got inflamed, which the inflamed pancreas was actually resulting from the alcoholism. I got hurt so bad from the initial lung collapsing and the nerve damage from the surgery, that I started drinking a lot to kill the pain, and that it was a cascade of problems for 12 years that my body just went ape shit from chakra to chakra to chakra, and leading back up, and eventually, what happened is I became like the experimental guinea pig. That we started experimenting with this in
Right.
Kundalini. We started experimenting with how to control it, how to maintain it, what it requires. Basically studying it and seeing what it could do ultimately. We started pressing my blood pressure, how fast I can get my heart beating, how high I can get my blood pressure, how much like a boost of strength or speed that I
Right.
can, what enhancements I'm capable of driving, which it just kept getting more and more and more. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and stronger. But
Well, let me ask you something. Something that I feel like is important to put into what you were just talking about is how you felt, how you kind of overrode her guidance into rushing into where you are now. Do you feel like you suffered any consequence for rushing like that? Number one. And number two, do you regret it? Because do you think that you could have learned more by taking the slow route, that you could have understood or learned more that you might have overlooked or something? Do you have any regrets, I guess I should say? It could be not, maybe you regret missing something, or maybe you regret missing her, or just any regrets in general by rushing all that.
yeah, well, I do miss her. But as clumps of friends tend to do, it's likely we would have all broken up eventually anyway. I mean, only my ex-wife Boob and I are really the only remaining members of the initial team that we built. We had a few working with us. My first student, Crystal, was our first operator for a while, but something personal happened with her that we had to part ways. Um, so we've replaced it. The role of the operator has been replaced again and again and again. Keith
Right.
but Little Washue's actually starting to take over in that field. In any case, yeah,
Can you?
regrets. I would say it's more resentments. I I don't regret where I'm at. I'm happy to have achieved what I have. I don't know how long this long route of hers would have taken, so I mean it could have been this long anyways. I would have been through a lot less damaging instances, my life would have been easier. But
Right.
then it's the difficulties that made me as strong as I am, as capable as I am. So
Do you, if you could go back in time, and I still would like you to answer the first question, but if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, and would you tell your younger self to take it slower and to listen to her more rather than being so stubborn to try to speed through things, I should say?
I didn't. So no. I have a question for you in response. Do you think that you can go back and talk to your younger self?
I don't know of a way where you could, but if I could, then there's a lot of times I would have called myself an idiot. I think that there's times where we all regret things that we did, but I think that through those mistakes, I think that we always learn something from them.
Yep.
Certainly, if someone said, "Hey, there was a machine created so you could go back in time and fix some of the things that you fucked up on," I absolutely would, at least some of them, try to undo them if possible. But There's no such machine that's been created yet. So sadly, we aren't able to.
Okay, well, let me hit 3 points on that. One, just to top off the story. What happened was we eventually got that impulse under control. I got back on my feet, got shit together. I was homeless for a little while. I mean, it got really bad. I got really deep into that, and then pulled me out. I got my shit together. I figured out how to maintain it and what the proper maintenance is, and we got back together. And when 9/11 happened, we saw that as being an urgent distress call from the world. I mean, 911, it's right in your face. And we know that we don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that what most people think happened is not what actually happened, and there's still a mystery to that. And we know that we see it as being an urgent distress call from the planet itself, from existence itself, from the God figures of
Right.
so we launched the Status Initiative as sort of a specialized training program to get people to a point where they're actually going to be working towards helping the world in any way they can, just actively helping the world, presenting themselves as active spotters, helping others learn, helping others grow, helping the world heal. That's
Right.
what Status Initiative was. And then, of course, obviously, we didn't launch the internet faction of it until about 2 or 3 years ago. But that's where we're starting to reach out, and I love it so much. But something happened actually later on. It hasn't actually happened yet, but I do believe that you can. Let me just round it all off without telling the whole story. It's sounding crazy, but I do believe that you can, in fact, go back in time. I do not believe that we can create a machine that will do it physically, though. I think that would actually break the universe, and I warn anybody watching against trying to do that. Please don't punch holes in my fucking universe. Thank you. But yes, I believe that you can go back in time. I believe that many people do go back in time and deliver values and alter things all the time. I think they just don't remember doing it. I think that there's a way you can actually pull that memory with you and recall having done it. But I do think people do that all the time. The question is, if you change the world from the past, what happened to the original? That's the question.
Right. That's a good question though. Okay, my next question is, what do you feel is your biggest goal that you would like to accomplish while you're still on Earth presently? Like, in other words, before you pass away and go on to your next life and blah, 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 what is the one thing that you would like everyone to remember you for? Like, your one big achievement.
I don't know.
Well, think on it. That's why I'm asking you. Think on it.
I really want to be successful with the fictional stories that I write. I'd really like people to remember me for being an author. That's the biggest talent I have. That's my highest proficiency and what I love the most is writing and how capable I am of that. But of course, I'd like to be known as the person who launched the initiative. I'd like for the initiative to make a big difference, and it already has. And for anybody watching that's involved with the initiative, you guys have done a hell of a job. We've made big differences. I know you don't see it, but it's happening.
And also, I thought that it would be beneficial as well to kind of not be so hard-hitting with these next few questions. And I think that you'll agree. I would like for everyone to try to get to know us individually, like, our interests, hobbies, what we like, things like that. Would you like to discuss a little bit of that as well?
Sure.
Okay. Tell me and tell the viewers what some of your hobbies and interests and things like that are.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like to build things. I collect things like an idiot. I mean, I'm not going to show you my room, but if you saw it, holy shit, it's just there's things piled everywhere. I have hundreds of books. I have little knickknacks, pieces of things. I just collect stuff and I build things. And I collect old clothing and I make costumes out of it. Usually I try to make female costumes because the female body is like much cooler. The male body seems boring to me. But I don't really have a model for them, so that becomes difficult to do. But I do that from time to time. I put together scraps of old clothing and make costumes. Um, I like to build things. I just construct things. It's like when I was a kid, I used to build models for my toys. I would play with all the toys, and I made this story in my head of that it was all the characters from all the different universes gathered into one planet, that they were kind of locked on a prison planet. And that's where all my stories eventually came from. Boob and I were going to make a comic book out of that story, the actual story with the toys, but we scrapped that for the Land's End project, and we now have a lot of people working on that, actually building this city and putting these stories. There are other authors involved who are writing connected stories as well. But I have my stories now published on DeviantArt if anybody wants to check them out.
Yeah, definitely. I invite everyone go check out his work and show him some love and support. My next question is, what would you say is your favorite music? What kind of music and things like that do you like to listen to?
Piano and female vocals.
Who are some of your favorites? Just list off some of your favorites for everyone.
Evanescence, Annie Lennox, Amanda Palmer, Dresden Dolls, obviously Amanda Palmer. And then, I used to get into metal music like Pantera and such. Not so much anymore. No More. Fake No More is going to be one of my favorite bands of all time.
Okay.
Live, the band Live is my favorite band. They have the best message.
Okay, and what about movies and things like that? Do you have any favorite movies that you enjoy?
Yeah, I like the 13th Floor was a favorite. That was kind of like, you could say that was a spiritual prequel to the Matrix, really. It was about artificial worlds. It was a love story, though. That was a romance. I love that. Obviously, the Matrix is going to be a favorite just because of its premise, and it's cliche, but it's the first one, at least. And I like the first one, just Final Battle. And then all the superhero movies I love, but I like romances. The Notebook was a favorite. That one really touched me.
And what would you say if you could list off one song that really touched your soul, the greatest song that really touched your soul? What song would that be?
Probably The Real Thing by Faith No More.
Okay. Now this is an interesting question I'd like to ask you.
Your Star by Evanescence. Your Star.
Okay, that's a good one. If you could go back in time, well, no, I'm sorry, not go back in time. In the present, if you could bring back someone to life that has already passed away and sit down with them and have a whole day to converse about everything that you'd like to talk about, who would it be and why?
Would they go back to being dead after that day?
Yes.
Nobody. That's me.
But you wouldn't want to pick someone's brain or learn things from someone, or that could be very beneficial though if you could do that. That's why I'm asking you. So no, it's not really mean.
There'd be people like Nikola Tesla or Einstein, obviously, earlier philosophers. I'm not sure if I could pick one, though. I mean, let's say maybe if Jesus was real, I have a lot of questions for that guy.
I bet you do.
I don't trust him.
Well, you don't trust him.
No.
How come you don't trust him? Or could it be that you don't understand the real truth?
I think that it looks to me like the whole story of Jesus was like a political scheme to me. I want to know. Obviously, he was teaching great things, so I admire him for that. He should have done a lot of good with that. However, the advent of Christianity obviously had some problematic issues that it dragged along that were. I'd really rather it hadn't come to that, but
right.
He had great things to teach, and he was spot on for the most part. He seemed to know exactly what the fuck he was talking about, but I think that maybe he was pulling strings. I think that it was a political scheme, honestly. I think it was an effort for many people other than him to build this. I'm sorry for any religious people, but this cult that became unity. That's what it is. I mean, my perspective, that's what it is. It's a cult.
Right. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about a message that you want to give to them, something from your heart that if they, in other words, if all the viewers were sitting in front of you right now, what would you like to tell them from your heart?
You're not a victim. You're not. All the people out there who are thinking that they're a victim because somebody told them that they got some kind of malfunction in their brain, people sitting around thinking I have depression, so I'm going to be depressed. I was hurt in the past, so I'm always going to feel victimized. Stop that. Fight back. There's a part of you that wants to be realized, and all of this victimization complex that we have nowadays that's being force fed to you, and everybody's behaving as though they're being oppressed by something. Stand up and fight that. Fight back. You're not fighting people. You're fighting yourself. You're fighting your own complex and your own past and your own comprehension. To be bigger, to be stronger, to do things and move faster. Crying out loud, move faster, people. You got a motivation, get to it, make it happen. I will back you up every step of the way, every one. Stand up and fight back. Fight that negative aspect. Every step of the way. If the world ever pushes you around and puts you down and says you need to accomplish something else in order to get here, or you need to be something else in order to be who you are, fight back. That's the message. You are here. You are here now. You are who you are, and by decision. Be responsible.
That's a very, very, very good point. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the viewers, or anything that you would like to discuss in general?
Well, honestly, I'd really like to say on a personal note that we're really hoping to do some great stuff here, and Mandy's got big plans in mind. I'd really like to back her up on that. So anybody that is watching, if you want to get involved, get involved. Don't second guess it. Don't naysay it. We're on your side. We're always going to be on your side. Unless you're like a Nazi, some kind of hate monger, then
yeah, we know. No. If you're one of those, you can let the door hit your ass on the way out.
In fact, we'll hit you eventually. But for the good people, anybody stand up and present yourself here. We're offering a platform for you to do that. We need your help to get it going. So let's work together here. Let's get shit done.
And on a side note, I would like to add this. If there's one thing that I cannot stand, it's people that say that they want to create a change in the world and say they want to do all these great things and say they want to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. But then when it comes time to actually having the balls to do it, you chicken shit out. And you get afraid, and you let things stop you that you should not let stop you. And let me just put it this way. Not only are you wasting your own time, you're not doing jack shit, pardon my French, but you're not doing anything. You're just sitting on your ass and not doing anything at all. John Lennon once said, to be a change in the world, you must take the action to do it. Change does not occur by your hopes. Change does not occur by you saying that you want to do it. Change occurs by you getting off your ass and doing it and seeing it through. That doesn't mean that we're not saying that you can't be afraid. Of course you're going to be afraid. The greatest people throughout history had fears. Alexander had fears. Cleopatra had fears. Oh my God! They all had fears. That's my point. They all had fears, but they didn't let those fears. What I'm saying is they didn't let those fears hold them back. The difference between people that sit on their ass and never do anything with their lives and the ones that are brave enough to get out and do things is not that they're not afraid, because they are afraid. They just have the courage and the bravery to step up and be like, you know what? There's no one but me that is going to be the voice for whatever. There's no one but me that can do this. So I've got to get off my ass and do it.
Right.
So either you can continue to live in your own fantasy world and never do anything and never amount to anything, or never accomplish anything, or you can be one of the brave and have courage enough to voice yourself and to speak up and not let that fear paralyze you or keep you in hiding.
That's actually something that I'd like to say. If you ask what I'd like to be remembered for, I'd like to present myself as a symbol of just that. I'm afraid. I'm afraid all the time of everything. I worry about every one of you guys. I'm afraid I might fuck up and make a mistake, and Lord knows I do. I'm afraid of my personal situations and how I lax in those when I'm dealing with this, but you don't have to be an adrenaline junkie to get that kind of a high. That's essentially what this impulse, this Kundalini is. It's a boost in your adrenals, it's a boost in your dopamine, a boost in your structures, that you gain energy from dealing with other people. This is something that's taught in the Celestine Prophecy, that by engaging synchronicities, by getting up and moving, by creating energy, you get energy back. And the internet is the most beautiful tool for that, because I can hit hundreds and hundreds of people at a time with one post, and I get that energy back and I feel it. And so yeah, I'm afraid all the time, but I get up and I move and I do things, I say things, I speak my mind, I try to engage people, I'd like to get something with that. Get up and go, do things, get things done, make shit happen. You can do it. That's simple. How I want to represent is that even if you're afraid, that's the best thing, because if you conquer that fear, you're gonna get a high off. And it's a natural that doesn't hurt you. So.
And I'd like to also add that no one since the beginning of time has ever accomplished anything great that was not afraid. We're all afraid. I am afraid. I have so much at stake I could lose for what I'm trying to do. My relationship with my family, my relationship with my friends that I grew up with, my community, I already know will turn against me. But I don't care, because the outcome for what I'm trying to do and for the effect it will have is far too great to let something as irrelevant as all those other things matter to me. It still matters. So matters is a bad choice of words. It still matters, but I'm not going to let it hold me back, and I'm not going to let it, be like, oh, I can't do this because blah, blah, blah. No. Too many people and too much of the future is at stake for what I am trying to do and the change that I'm trying to bring about to let something like that stop me.
Take a chance, take a risk, gamble. You can win. You do win all the time, and trust me, there are potential consequences we could have had happening already that are so much worse than anything that's happening now. If you want to believe, you can go ahead and trust me. I believe this. I can't prove it. It's a belief that I have, but I believe that the alterations to things that would have happened. I believe that we could have faced so many consequences by now and going into the future that are so awful, but we've made such changes by doing such relatively small things, and it adds up, and you add up. You're important, every one of you. You can step up and you can be that butterfly that creates a hurricane on the other side of the world. Just add some, step up and put your energy in and see what happens.
Exactly. And on a final note, because we discussed a lot of the other questions in part one, but on a final note, is there anything else you would like to say, for anyone, period?
Love you. Love you guys.
Well, Donovan and I both love you guys, and you both mean a great deal to us, and just please remember my words, please remember his words. Stop letting fear control your life, because you're never going to amount to anything if you keep letting fear decide your fate, if you keep letting fear control you. So stop that. Stop. There's too much good you can do. There's too much change you can make to simply let something so stupid as fear stop that. So just get a grip on it. And
working together and making positive changes here. This is a big time in history. This is a big turning point for us, and it can swing either way. We need to make sure it swings our way.
That's absolutely right. Well, Donovan, is there anything else that you would like to ask me or say or do or anything else? Because, like I said, we covered a majority of the questions in part one. So is there anything else that you'd like to?
No, just for you, be patient. This is gonna work out.
He keeps telling me that, but he doesn't understand. And because he can't communicate with the other side, I would have him communicate with my grandmother, because my grandmother would be the first to tell him that is an argument that has been tried on every single woman in our family line, that every male that has come in contact with us has tried to make, but it's always failed. From my grandmother to my great-grandmother to all the way back. Stubbornness and impatience and a temper has always been in every single female in my family line.
She could be me, but it's gonna cause you undue stress and wear you down. Try to be patient. Everybody that's watching, you're causing her undue stress. Get on board, do an interview. Anybody that's got a good story to tell, struggles to share.
Yes. We love you all, and we will be in touch soon. Until then, we love you.
Yep. That concludes our introductory videos for Outcast Revolution. Hopefully we'll be doing an interview with a dear friend of ours. I'm not going to name her because she hasn't signed on contractually yet, but we do have a few interviews lined up potentially. Hopefully that will be very fun for you guys. Until then, thank you for watching.
Bye.
Okay.
Is this still recording?